We all know things on Euphoria can get a little bit crazy, and that's why we can't stop watching, but things were also insane behind the scenes. One scene required the construction of a rotating room, and another had actress Zendaya reaching for her inhaler.
Why would I rate you? That's not the point.
Of course, we're excited about the second season of Euphoria. We just want to make sure our favorites are going to be returning to the cast. Thankfully, we've confirmed Zendaya will be back to reprise her role as Rue Bennett, and the cast has gotten together for table reads for the new scripts. This pick confirmed Angus Cloud will be back, and Sydney Sweeney announced her return on the Chicks in the Office podcast. Storm Reid claims that she'll be back to reprise her role as Gia, and we'd be surprised if the rest of the main cast doesn't return for the second season. Right in the first episode of Euphoria, things got spun out of control, and pulling off this tricky scene took a lot more than building a simple set piece. The crew actually constructed a rotating room that Zendaya walked through with cameras following her the whole way. According to Zendaya, it was incredibly disorienting, but she had it better than the partygoers who had to be strapped to the room while it was rotating.
Everything is just spinning and you have no sense of where the real world is.
Putting together a musical number may sound simpler than having a room rotate, but the All For Us scene in episode 8 was totally over the top. It took over 200 people, including a choir and marching band. There were snare, bass, and tenor drums, a woodwind section, and brass instruments in play. Although it was a ton of work and required careful coordination from the choreographer, Zendaya claims the energy on set was high, and everyone was excited about the scene and happy to be on the Euphoria set. A lot of hard work went into making the first season, and the cast is already talking about what will happen next. According to Storm Reid, the cast knows that we're excited about the follow-up to the first season, and all of our questions will soon be answered. During an interview with Entertainment Weekly, Storm confirmed that any lingering questions will be answered in the first couple of episodes in the second season. While that's definitely exciting, we also assume that those episodes will also cause us to ask new and exciting questions about our favorite characters. Euphoria creator Sam Levinson believes the right camera angles can help express the character's emotions. So, instead of filming in a static set, he makes ample use of glide cameras and dollies to follow the stars while they move through each scene. Sam believes that this ends up making the show feel more personal to those of us watching at home.
How do we allow our camera to articulate it for the character?
We're excited to see our favorite Euphoria characters returning for a second season, but we're also optimistic about who we'll be meeting next. Actor Kelvin Harrison Jr. has been in films like Loose and Waves, and now he's joining the cast of Euphoria. Apparently, Kelvin wanted to be part of the first season, but could not make it work with his busy schedule. But now he's looking forward to getting started, and says he's already enjoying his connections to the rest of the cast. A casting call for the second season revealed that they were looking for someone to play Darian, who's an outsider described as sensitive, vulnerable, and mischievous, who might not be the coolest guy around, but is one of the more interesting ones. Could this be Kevin's role on the show? Finding a carnival to film episode 4 was a tough task, so the crew ended up making their own. They brought in all of the carnival rides and equipment just 2 days before the scene was filmed. Obviously, the crew had their work cut out for them, but the cast struggled with this scene too. Zendaya called it a nightmare and said it was so dusty she was forced to rely on her inhaler. Sam Levinson admitted that it was both dusty and freezing cold, and it took 6 long days to get all of the shots they needed to make the episode. Even though it was hard work, both Zendaya and Sam agreed that it was worth it in the end.
Sam had the idea to create a setting that can be dreamy but based in reality.
Barbie Ferreira opened up to the New York Times about her thoughts on her character Kat Hernandez. She says that she's looking forward to Kat making bad decisions in season 2, and that she thinks her character is a part of the LGBT+ community. Some fans believe that Barbie was hinting Kat's orientation will be a plot point in the second season and could influence her storyline. Coming up with a script for Euphoria was not easy, and neither was getting the music just right. Creator Sam Levinson believes in thinking outside the box and combining many different styles to get the show's soundtrack just right. He described the music for Euphoria as
Danny Elfman meets Jesus meets gospel.
and that's actually the perfect description. Composer Labyrinth totally understood Sam's vision and made it his mission to combine auditory and visual effects to get the biggest impact possible in each scene. The cast members of Euphoria do a lot more than just reading lines. They have a certain amount of input on their characters. Hunter Schafer plays Jules Vaughn and says she feels an intense connection to her character. She admits that at first it was a little awkward since transition is such a personal experience, but she was glad to be able to portray aspects of it that many people may not think about. It was also a challenge to relive some of her own memories and experiences that were painful at the time. But overall, Hunter loves being a part of the show and the fact that Jules is based on her.
I don't want to have this conversation.
When he was getting ready to put the show together, Sam Levinson made vision boards for the characters and actually used a photo of Zendaya as the one for Rue. Zendaya was flattered that Sam thought she was qualified to bring the character to life and is extremely proud of her work on the series. Sydney Sweeney likes making interactive diaries for her characters, and yes, she has one of Cassie Howard, but as for how it looks like, that's going to stay a secret since Sydney avoids sharing them with even her fellow cast members. The stars of Euphoria claim it's a fun show to work on, but they have to deal with a lot of heavy themes that can be draining. According to Sydney Sweeney, the cast has access to an intimacy coordinator behind the scenes who makes sure everyone feels comfortable during the filming process. Sydney claims the coordinator helps them speak up and works to make sure the environment on set feels safe for everyone. Euphoria has such a talented cast that you might be surprised by how many of them are new to acting. Barbie Ferreira was nervous the casting director wouldn't take her seriously because of her past as a model. She worried that seeing her in person without perfect hair and lighting would mean missing out on the part, and says that she's grateful for Euphoria for giving her a chance to prove herself.
How she wants to be portrayed, how she wants to be viewed in the world.
Hunter Schafer was working as a full-time model when she saw the casting call and decided to try out after a suggestion from her agent. Angus Cloud wasn't working as a model, but Euphoria was his first acting gig. Jacob Elordi's character is no stranger to confrontation, but behind the scenes, Jacob ended up paying the price for one of his fights. When Nate fought with his dad, Jacob admits the filming process was physically grueling. He wanted to make things as real as possible, but maybe he got a little bit too real. Jacob ended up with a concussion and found himself throwing up after leaving the set, but Jacob managed to keep this injury from Sam Levinson, who was surprised to learn about it after the fact. He clarified that there are medics, stunt coordinators, and stunt doubles on set to keep the star safe. Rue's sister Gia will be returning for season 2, and according to Storm Reed, we'll end up seeing much more of her this time around. The first season focused on a specific character in each episode, and Storm says it's time for Gia to have her own time to shine. She says we can look forward to seeing her character step out of her sister's shadow and step up as her own person. Daniela Davey is the head Euphoria makeup artist, and she loves the fact that Sam Levinson has embraced bold, bright, colorful looks on the cast. Apparently, Sam likes watching YouTube makeup tutorials as much as we do, and agreed to let her go all out. Daniela claims that usually TV makeup is designed to be consistent and subtle, but this is not the case. She tries to keep their looks consistent with their personalities, which is why Jules has such fun, imperfect, and experimental looks. At first, they considered having Rue wear no makeup, but decided to challenge people's perceptions of the character by having her go bold and sparkly when she does decide to get dolled up.
This is the first time that we really get to see Rue like genuinely happy about life.
It's clear that creator Sam Levinson is all for pushing the envelope, and he has some strong ideas about where the series is heading. But a big reason the show is so successful is because he's not afraid to take input from the talented people around him. According to Hunter Schafer, Sam admits that there's only so much a white, straight man can know about the diverse characters in Euphoria. So he relies on the actors bringing their own lives and experiences into the script writing process. Hunter says that it's a collaborative effort, and she believes that's reflected in the nuanced characters. One area where Sam does have a lot of first-hand knowledge, he admits that in the past he struggled with issues similar to Rue's, complete with anxiety and mood swings heightened by the teenage experience. Even though there's a lot of careful costuming going on behind the scenes of Euphoria, there are certainly plenty of scandalous ones. Actor Eric Dane offered to bear it all during a particularly intense scene, but the crew decided that it would be best if he wore a particular prosthetic part. During a scene when Kat has a scandalous Skype call, she wanted to have a fake piece to look at. That way, her surprised and scandalous reaction would be completely genuine. According to Barbie Ferreira, what we saw on Euphoria was her real reaction and not an act. before he was cast as Nate Jacobs, things were not going well for Jacob Elordi. According to this Euphoria star, he was practically homeless when he auditioned for the show. He was completely broke when he showed up for the casting call, and promptly forgot his lines. Despite his mix-up and lack of acting experience, the casting director took a chance on him, and Jacob couldn't be more grateful. Working on the show has been a challenge, and there's one aspect of filming he really struggles with: being mean to his co-star Alexa Demie. Apparently, the two of them became close during filming, and even though he was just acting, it wasn't easy to treat his good friend so badly. Some Euphoria scenes take a ton of time and planning to pull off, but the fight between Rue and her mom was almost completely improvised. Zendaya and Nika King were given just a simple line in the script that said Rue and her mom have a fight, and they were forced to wing it from there. In real life, Zendaya is a very calm person who rarely raises her voice, so this scene was a huge challenge. This intense mother-daughter moment left Zendaya feeling lightheaded and nauseous.
I was with my mom and my little sister, and we were listening to this song.
Are you looking forward to the second season of Euphoria? Share your thoughts on your favorite characters and predictions for what will happen to them next with us and your fellow fans in the comments section. Stay connected with us here at The Things by clicking subscribe and turning on your notifications. We'll see you next time.